Did you know some trucks were so powerful their V12 engines could haul loads heavier than small ships? This will blow your mind. These weren't one-off experiments. They were real machines that worked every day in mines, deserts, and logging camps. And here's the kicker. A few of them are still out there, rumbling like mechanical thunder. Let's look at the 12 most powerful V12 trucks ever built. MAZ 530. Built in the late 1950s, the Soviet MAZ 530 wasn't just a dump truck. It was a rolling sledgehammer of Cold War engineering. Under the hood sat the D12 A450 V12 diesel, adapted from a tank engine, producing a hefty 450 horsepower. Back then, that was enough muscle to make it one of the most powerful trucks in the Eastern Bloc. Weighing in at over 50 tons, the MAZ 530 was purpose-built for mining and heavy construction. Its towering cab and enormous wheels made drivers feel like they were commanding a land-bound battleship. Comfort wasn't a priority. This was a machine for getting the job done, no matter how brutal the conditions. Fuel economy? Practically non-existent, it drank diesel like water. But in its prime, nothing could match its raw pulling power. Today, finding one is rare, but hearing that deep V12 rumble still feels like standing next to a living fossil. Think you've seen the craziest V12 trucks? Stick around till the end, because the last ones on this list take power and size to a whole new level. JFANG CA30. China's JFANG CA30 was a true heavy-haul workhorse of the 1970s and 80s, built to dominate massive quarry and mining operations. At its heart was the Tsinghua C2956 V12 diesel, producing a jaw-dropping 720 PS, which is around 710 horsepower. For a truck of its era, this kind of power was outrageous, putting it in a league of its own for sheer hauling capability. It was designed to carry loads of up to 105 tons, tackling rugged terrain without breaking a sweat. The CA30's no-nonsense construction reflected China's industrial ambitions, massive chassis, towering presence, and an engine that could pull mountains apart. You didn't drive it so much as command it. Sure, it was overkill for most jobs, but that was the point. In its prime, the JFANG CA30 wasn't just a truck. It was an unstoppable moving wall of steel and torque. Burlad T100. In the 1950s, the French decided that big wasn't big enough and built the Burlad T100, a truck so massive it was once crowned the largest in the world. Powering this desert Goliath was a 29.6-liter Cummins 12 diesel pumping out about 700 horsepower, numbers that still sound wild today. It wasn't just big, it was absurd in the best way possible. Built to work in the Sahara oil fields, the T100 was designed to haul enormous loads across endless sand. Standing over 4 meters tall, it made normal trucks look like toys. Even getting inside felt like boarding a small building on wheels. Fuel consumption? Let's just say you didn't fill the tank, you stocked up for a voyage. Only a handful were ever made, making it one of the rarest truck legends. Spotting one today is like seeing a dinosaur that learned how to drive. Tatra T813. When Czechoslovakia wanted a truck that could handle anything from military duty to off-road expeditions, they unleashed the Tatra T813 in 1967. Under its cab sat a 17.6-liter air-cooled V12 diesel, delivering around 250 to 300 horsepower, depending on the version. Sure, that might not sound earth-shattering compared to some monsters on this list, but its torque and durability made it a legend. The T813 wasn't about winning drag races, it was about surviving where roads didn't exist. Its unique central backbone tube chassis and independent suspension gave it insane off-road capability. Mountains, rivers, deserts, it laughed at them all while carrying huge loads or even towing artillery. Production ran until the early 80s, but its reputation carried on. Many are still in use today, proving that raw engineering smarts can make a V12 just as unstoppable as brute horsepower. Tatra 815-7. If the T813 was impressive, the Tatra 815-7 is its modern, militarized descendant on steroids. This beast can be fitted with an air-cooled, turbocharged V12 diesel, producing up to 515 kilowatts, which is just under 690 horsepower. Built for extreme military and rescue operations, it's the kind of truck you deploy when ordinary heavy-duty simply won't cut it. Its modular design allows configurations up to 16 by 16 drive, meaning every wheel can be powered. Combine that with Tatra's signature backbone chassis and independent suspension, and you get a vehicle that can plow through deep mud, snow, or rocky wastelands without losing momentum. Whether hauling missile systems or disaster relief supplies, the Tatra T813 is proof that the V12 truck isn't dead, it's just been upgraded for the 21st century with enough grunt to intimidate even the toughest terrain. International Transstar 4370. Rolling out in the 1970s, the International Transstar 4370 was a classic American COE rig with an optional heart-stopping power plant, the Detroit Diesel 12V71. This 12-cylinder, two-stroke diesel was good for around 434 horsepower, but the real magic was its torque and that unmistakable Screaming Jimmy soundtrack that echoed for miles down the interstate. The 12V71 wasn't just an engine, it was a personality. Drivers either loved the constant high-rev wail or wore earplugs religiously. Paired with the Transstar's rugged frame, it was a reliable workhorse for hauling big loads coast to coast in an era when fuel efficiency was a secondary concern at best. Today, the 4370 has a cult following among truck enthusiasts. Fire one up, and you'll instantly understand why. It doesn't purr, it howls. Isuzu 512 heavy trucks. Japan's Isuzu might be better known for medium-duty rigs, but in the late 20th century, they built some absolute heavy-duty monsters with V12 power. These trucks came with diesel engines ranging from 14 liters to a staggering 22 liters, producing well over 500 horsepower in certain configurations. They were built for long-haul freight, construction, and industrial heavy lifting. Isuzu's engineering focused on combining strength with reliability. These V12 trucks could clock up huge mileage in tough conditions without breaking a sweat. Their size and power made them a favorite in parts of Asia and the Middle East, where extreme loads and heat pushed lesser trucks to their limits. While they never had the same global fame as American or European big rigs, among operators who needed sheer muscle and long-term dependability, these V12 Isuzus were legends. Detroit Diesel V12 series. Detroit Diesel's V12 engines were industrial icons that found their way into some seriously tough trucks. The most famous were the 12V71, 12V92, and the gigantic 12V149. Depending on the series, these engines could pump out anywhere from 430 horsepower to well over 1,000 horsepower in certain tuned or marine-derived versions. In trucks, they were valued for their brutal torque delivery and the ability to keep pulling under heavy loads for hours on end. These were two-stroke diesels with a sound that could wake a sleeping town, and mechanics knew them inside out thanks to decades of production. Whether in logging trucks, heavy haulers, or specialized rigs, a Detroit Diesel V12 meant you had an engine that could outlast the chassis it was bolted to, all while shaking the ground beneath it. GMC Twin 6. In the 1960s, GMC decided that if one V6 was good, two had to be better. The result was the Twin 6, an 11.5-liter petrol V12 that was essentially two V6s joined together. It produced around 250 horsepower and a hefty 585 pound-feet of torque, which was more than enough for the heavy-duty trucks and fire apparatus it powered. The Twin 6 wasn't built for speed. It was designed for pulling power and smooth operation. It ran quieter than most big diesels of the era and delivered torque in a steady, predictable way. Drivers appreciated its reliability and the way it just kept going under heavy loads. Though its production only lasted from 1960 to 1965, the GMC Twin 6 has a dedicated following today. Surviving examples are prized by collectors and restorers who admire its quirky design and unmistakable rumble. American LaFrance and Seagrave fire trucks. For much of the mid-20th century, American LaFrance and Seagrave built fire trucks powered by big V12 petrol engines, often sourced from Pierce Arrow. These engines produced around 250 horsepower, with torque figures of about 585 pound-feet, which made them ideal for carrying heavy ladders, pumps, and crew to emergencies at speed. The smooth, powerful V12 gave fire departments a dependable and responsive truck that could handle both city streets and rural runs. The sound was distinctive, a deep mechanical roar that announced the fire brigade's arrival long before you saw the flashing lights. Today, many of these trucks survive in parades, museums, and private collections. They stand as a reminder of an era when firefighting rigs had as much style and presence as they did power and capability. Pacific P12, heavy hauler. The Canadian-built Pacific P12 was one of the most formidable off-highway logging and heavy-haul trucks ever made. Often fitted with massive Detroit diesel V12 such as the 12 V71 or even the 12 V149, these trucks could produce anywhere from 430 horsepower to well over 800 horsepower depending on the configuration. The P12 was designed to move gigantic loads, think entire sections of bridge or enormous logs, through unforgiving terrain. It had a rugged frame, heavy-duty axles, and the kind of gearing that let it crawl with impossible weight on the back. Operators trusted it to do jobs most trucks couldn't even attempt. Although they were expensive and specialized, the Pacific P12 earned a reputation worldwide for its unmatched toughness. Many are still in service decades later, proving their durability in the harshest working environments. Fawn K40. From Germany came the Fawn K40, a post-war heavy-duty truck designed for extreme transport work. Powered by a Maybach MD 870 V12 diesel, it produced around 500 horsepower and had the torque to move abnormal loads like tanks, industrial machinery, and massive construction components. The K40's engineering was ahead of its time, featuring advanced suspension and braking systems to handle the immense stress of heavy-haul operations. It was built in small numbers for military and industrial customers who needed something stronger than a conventional road truck. Today, the Fawn K40 is a rare sight, mostly found in museums or private collections. For truck historians, it remains a fascinating example of German post-war engineering and the enduring appeal of V12 power in the world of heavy transport. If you enjoyed this dive into the loudest, strongest, and most outrageous V12 trucks ever built, hit that like button and share it with a fellow gearhead. From Soviet mining giants to desert monsters and firehouse legends, these machines prove that when it comes to moving the impossible, nothing beats 12 cylinders of pure, unapologetic power.